Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Sessions Cafe, brought to you by Intrigue Magazine. Today, I'm your host, Keri Singleton, and I'm honored to welcome my buddy all the way from Newark, New Jersey, Jose Torres. Welcome to Sessions Cafe, brother. How are you?
It's great to be here.
Yeah,
I appreciate it.
It's great to have you. Yeah, you've been behind the scenes, doing all kinds of technical stuff. You must have some kind of background in that. I don't know, like maybe...
Yeah, I've been on a few sets of TV shows.
Okay.
Maybe over 100, I think.
Okay. Well, I got a list here, so we ain't got to get into that right away. But where it relates to photography, that's where your passion is at least right now. What are some of the things that you're interested in terms of photography? Are you into landscape photography, taking pictures of people, freelance? Talk to me.
I love landscape photography.
Okay.
It's my favorite, but it's really hard to monetize that. So I focus more on events, weddings, birthday parties, bar mitzvahs. Mostly, I captured this at a Phillies game at Citizens Bank Park, and I just saw the picture in my head, and I was like, I gotta get it.
That's a pretty dope picture.
It's my art. I love creating art out of just everyday situations.
And I don't want to give away your secrets, but I have to ask, how were you able to get the background of the venue in a black and white setting while the people in the forefront are colored?
That's part of the post-production process.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a pretty dope concept. It makes you focus on them, but get a kind of background, I don't know, like a historic-looking background, I guess, is what I'm saying.
So I guess the concept I wanted to go for was getting the modern part in the foreground and the classic backdrop of old-school baseball, scenery.
Nice, okay. And how did you get into photography? Because, I mean, I love taking pictures of the New York skyline, the Chicago skyline, the palm trees, in Miami, but I wouldn't say that I'm a professional photographer. What made you really get into wanting to, make it your bread and butter?
So I have a buddy who shot my headshots when I was doing some background work. His name is Alonzo. He works in New York. And he helped me, I helped him doing some photography shoots for him for some projects he had.
Okay.
And when I helped him, he said, you have a really good eye. You should probably practice and try it yourself. So I did a couple of years later, and I decided to get my own camera and got some clients. And I decided, you know what, let me start my own business doing this. Right. And it's just growing and growing. I'm building my clientele, growing on social media, building my own website, designing everything myself. It's really, what is it called? Overwhelming process for someone to be an entrepreneur. Yeah. Because you, as a photographer and an art, it's really hard to monetize it off the jump. So you have to grow that as well as work other jobs part-time. Yeah. So I'm doing that as well.
Right, and you're juggling.
Yeah, I'm juggling 2 part-time jobs and growing my photography business.
Okay. So in terms of photography, do you find yourself getting more clients that want to do events more so than, say, like, just headshots and stuff like that?
I think it's evenly balanced. Okay. So I do a lot of events. A lot of designers in New York are inviting me to do their shoots, which I really love doing because you get to shoot some really beautiful outfits that they're designing on some really pretty girls and handsome guys. Right. And those models are also actors and actresses and behind the scenes people. They want headshots too and portraits because they want to keep marketing themselves. Right. And makeup artists as well who love to have video of them doing their craft and photos of their end result. Right. So they love to have a photographer around as well.
When you talk about having an eye, I've always been I'm not a photographer myself, but in my line of business, I've obviously worked around a lot of photographers, like a plethora. And I always kind of feel like where it relates to equipment versus an eye, I always kind of feel, and this is not a professional opinion, this is why I'm asking you, that it's more about the eye than the camera, because you could have a super expensive camera and take terrible pictures, right? Yeah. What's your opinion on the eye versus the equipment?
Well, the equipment you can manipulate to make it look like how you want it to look, but the artist behind the equipment is where the actual art takes place. Right. Because you're capturing something that goes on a canvas. Correct. Whether if it's on a picture on your screen, or you print it out and put it in a frame, it's still an art form. So you got an artist who loves to capture live and make it something you can put into a block of portrait, an artist can see that.
Right.
And anybody who can visualize something to put on that canvas, you just give a camera to that person, teach them how to use it, and I guarantee they're going to be creating something beautiful.
Now, I'm a big fan of home goods. I love home decor, and I tend to just go to Home Goods and buy things that I feel go along with my home, right? But how do you, as a photographer, determine when you're actually taking pictures to be sold? How do you determine which pictures a person would want to put in their living room or put in their bathroom or their kitchen? How do you determine what pictures, I guess, a customer, a consumer would want to put in their home is the question that I'm asking you.
Well, the artist can't determine that. You have to, the person who has to put that art somewhere, you have to ask the questions from that customer. The customer has to tell you, give you what they want to put there, give you their concept, and you can give them choices to choose from. So the customer is really the person who has to make the decision.
Okay. Pros and cons of being a photographer.
Pros and cons. The pro is you get to create something beautiful that you're proud of, and you always have someone who wants to get photos and videos taken. You get to really a lot to learn. Cons, you get to spend a lot of money on photography gear.
Yeah, that's fun.
Being an artist, you struggle a lot financially, but that's not supposed to last long. You can make that monetizable and not have to worry about money. You just got to focus a lot of time and learning about how to do that.
Yeah. Do you take a lot of do you do a lot of photography work at, say, fashion shows and fashion events?
I try not to. Mostly because the designers don't really pay you for that.
Right.
You have to figure out how to monetize that for yourself. Like if you take photos for a runway and you're selling those photos to a magazine, you got to figure out how to gain some funds from that.
Well, the reason that I asked is because I wanted you to give advice to models, because I've been to a lot of fashion shows, especially here in New York City, Fashion Week, etc. And a lot of times, as I said, I have built a relationship with a lot of photographers here in the greater New York area and as well in Philadelphia. And I wanted you to give advice to models in terms of how they should walk or this, that, and the third. You don't have any advice. You should.
There are quite a few models who are already walking runways who can teach new models how to do that. And as long as you're willing to give them a couple of dollars, they're always willing to help you out. And if you want great results from your photographer, pay them.
Right. Okay.
We work for money, and sometimes we work for free. But if you want your photos taken or delivered quickly, pay the photographer. Give them like $5-10. Guaranteed.
What kind of advice would you give to other photographers that are either in the business or that are aspiring to be in the business?
If you're working around other photographers, be considerate of the other photographers around you.
Right.
You're all working together and you want to get along.
Right.
If you're not working with other photographers and you're just working with clients or a client, be considerate of them, be kind. Don't use your photography business or your gig as a way to do anything but take photos of somebody else. You're not there to get love interests or get somebody into bed. That's not the goal of your business. It should never be. It's a bonus sometimes, but never make it something that you're trying to do.
I definitely have had my experience, not personally, of course, but I've definitely seen photographers, we'll not spill any names on this show, but I've definitely seen photographers make attempts to use their cameras for other things other than photography. So I get where you're going with that. You were a student at Keene University in New Jersey. What was you studying over there related to what you're doing now?
I was studying political science over at Keene, and that's not really related to the art form of photography. It's more related to the concepts and the processes of politics and what goes into the government. And you're not really studying particular, ideologies or anything like that. You're just studying the government and the process.
Okay.
But, I transitioned after the 2016 election. Just became too overwhelming for me.
Right.
I think the arts was where I gained less stress from my job, so I decided transition was necessary.
And the reason I mentioned that is because I wanted your opinion, generically speaking, or generally speaking, on the 2024 politics? Because without being biased one way or the other, it's sticky and it seems to be really ugly.
Yeah, I like to focus on the beauty of life, and I'm not really focusing on politics.
Right.
And I don't give my opinion about any elections or anything like that anymore. It's just not in me anymore.
Right,
I can't do it.
you. Let's talk about something I know you have an opinion on.
Yeah.
One of my favorite television shows, although I'm a stickler for the original, Law and Order. I know you worked on Law and Order, SVU. What was that experience like for you, bro? That had to have been really exciting. Man.
I gotta tell you, every time I got booked on Law and Order SVU, it's always exciting because you never know what you're going to be shooting or who you're going to be shooting with. I've shot.
And this is in terms of acting.
Yes.
Let's be clear.
I was an actor background mostly on like 6 episodes of Law and Order.
Nice. Wow.
Central Casting New York booked me every time, and the first episode I shot was directed by Mariska Hargitay, who was the main cast member. And Ice-T is always on set when I'm shooting with him, and you're never supposed to ask to take a photo with Ice-T, but I've always, had a great rapport with him. He's one of the coolest, most kindest, compassionate, fun guys to be around on set with. I love filming everything with Ice-T, and I occasionally have snuck a selfie with him, even though you're not supposed to, but I never posted or shared with anybody.
Now, I've met Ice-T on several occasions.
He's a great guy.
Really, really nice guy. Before we go into our break, just one question. Is this no photos with Ice-T policy per Ice-T, or is it per Law and Order?
It's per the NDAs you need to sign to work the gigs. You're not supposed to work
specifically with him, though.
No, for all the main cast members.
All the main cast members.
You can't do that at all. But
all right. Ice-T's a good guy. I could see that he would never have a problem with that. We'll be back with more Sessions Cafe in just a second. So I'm probably the only black person in America that can say this, but unfortunately, I've never, ever watched one episode of Power.
No, man, I'm sorry. Can't do
sorry, I like fried chicken.
How can you say that?
I
it's
just
Power.
Just wasn't interested. But you were certainly even more than interested because you acted. You had parts in the TV drama.
Yeah, I was booked on a couple of episodes of Power. One episode was filmed in the Bronx with Method Man and Mary J. Blige.
Oh my God, 2 of my favorites.
Yeah.
I would watch that episode.
It was a good one.
Yeah, what was that about?
So it was the funeral for the main character, and Mary J. Blige was being driven in by, the prison to give her eulogy or whatever.
Oh, okay.
And Method Man was there to be his support. And Method Man is also
Her support.
No, Method Man is one of my favorite people to film with. He's also very kind and loving, fun, friendly guy on set.
Yeah.
You never notice that besides like when he's on some show like How High, his film.
Right.
But he's a really good guy to be around on set. He's really humble, and he's really cool, just like Ice-T. He's amazing. And working with one of my childhood heroes, Method Man, I used to listen to Wu-Tang Clan going to school every day in Newark. I went to Arts High for 1 year, but I was listening to the Mystery of Chess Boxing while riding the bus to school.
Wow.
It was one of my favorite albums, but working with him, like a dream come true from my childhood.
So I'll ask you this then, and just think about this before you answer. Power or Law and Order, which did you have more fun with?
Ooh, Law and Order.
Yeah?
Hands down.
Why?
Yeah, I love it. I get to play a detective when I was on set, and it was fun. I loved it, and it's one of the most world-renowned shows.
Yeah,
it's got
of course.
the longest running drama. You tell people you've been on Law and Order, and they go, "What? Really? You've been on that?" Like, you get some really good reaction from them, and I really love doing it.
Watching yourself on TV during those episodes of Law and Order and Power, like, what was the experience? What was it like? What was your experience in seeing yourself on television on those two, highly rated shows?
Man, I get a glimpse of what my picture on the screen, but I wish I had more screen time, and I wish I had some lines. But you work toward that. That's your goal. Right. But I wish I could do more. But it is something to aspire to for myself, and it's a great experience.
Okay. Marvelous Mrs. Maisel?
Oh yeah, that was a long show to shoot for.
Talk to me about that. What was that?
Yeah, that show is set in the 1960s.
Okay.
And they had the cast members. You have to be on that show. You have to be embodying someone in that time period.
Oh, okay. Wow.
So your hair has to be a certain way. You have to look a certain way. So they make you look that way,
speak a certain way.
Yeah,
right? Yeah.
Of course. So we worked the Las Vegas scenes in Queens when I shot.
Okay.
14, 16-hour days.
Wow.
All week long.
Wow.
It was a great experience, but it's grueling.
Yeah. But you love what you do, but still it's a job.
It's a job, yeah.
It's a job.
It's fun, but it's a job.
Would you say that acting is a difficult gig in general?
It's difficult for everybody to do something you're not really a natural with.
Right.
And
right.
If you're willing to do it, it's difficult, but you do it anyway. No matter what you do, it's going to be difficult. But it depends on who you are.
It's something that you love doing, though.
Yes.
You have bartended in New York City.
Yeah.
What the hell was that like?
That's fun. It's fun. It's stressful. I did a lot of catering work in the city. Mm-hmm. So you're working around people who have a lot of money.
Yeah.
And you're bartending and, working as a background actor or an actor in the city.
Right.
So you're not really in that level. Some people are.
Right.
But you're trying to make ends meet.
Right.
So when you're slinging drinks and pouring stuff for people at these parties,
Mm-hmm.
it's fun for you doing it, but your smile, it gets exhausting.
Of course,
at the end of the
you gotta
day.
smile constantly.
Yeah, you're
Yeah.
putting on that smile and the happy face for people at the event, but after work, you're just dead. You're done.
Yeah.
You're done. You're exhausted, and you want to go home and get some sleep.
I've always heard that being a bartender is much like being a therapist.
Depends on where you're bartending.
In that you have to, a lot of times, hear sob stories and make people feel good about themselves. I mean, you should do that anyway, but, did you feel like you had to hear, you had to be a counselor as you were throwing them back?
Well, it was about bartending in New York City. You're at a party most of the time, and these people are there to have fun.
Okay.
So they're not bringing you their sob stories and their stress. You're just there to make them loose and feel good. So you're just pouring drinks and try to cheer them up, really.
Speaking of feeling loose, you also have a side talent that we haven't spoken about, and I don't want to mispronounce the name of the drink, but coquito.
Yeah.
Right? So, because you just, I want to say either the end of last year or the beginning of this year, you won for Best Coquito in Brooklyn or something like that, right?
Best green / organic coquito.
Okay.
So it's dairy. My coquito's dairy free.
Okay.
A lot of them, they have a milk product, so you're kind of gassy or running to the bathroom afterwards. Mine has no dairy, so.
Oh, so if you're lactose intolerant, you can still drink yours.
Yes.
Okay. Go ahead.
Without any risks of any bowel issues or gas. But it tasted the absolute best at the contest. So I won the best coquito from the International Coquito Federation, which is based in New York.
Wow.
And all the coquito contestants from the entire Northeast area were there. Even though it was freezing cold, a lot of the contestants were there trying to taste some coquito. And mine won by a huge margin.
So how did they determine what was the best, though? Was it just on taste? Was it on texture? Was it on? I mean, what were the determining factors?
Everybody has their determining vote factor. You get, it's a blind taste test, so you get A, B, or C, or D, and you just taste them and you vote for which one was the best.
Okay.
So mine, apparently, to everybody over 75% of the people who were there voted for mine because it was that much better than the other contestants.
And so, like, does it mean that your coquito, because it's an alcoholic beverage, does it mean that yours makes people tipsier quicker, or I don't know?
I don't know what would sway somebody to vote for a specific one, but it just tasted a lot better than the other one. And the texture goes along with it, but the taste, the flavor, the compositions of the flavor.
A while back, you gave me a bottle of coquito. And he's laughing for a reason, you guys. I kind of kept it a little longer than I should have because I don't drink, right? I was saving it for a special occasion, and one did not happen. So I figured I would just taste it. But I remember calling you up and asking you if it was okay to drink the coquito. What was it, 6 months? Might have been even longer than that.
I think it was almost a year.
A year.
Yeah.
And you said throw it away.
Yeah, I wouldn't trust that.
Why? I mean, I don't drink coquito, so what happens to it? Does it turn into like mold? I don't know.
Well, even though it's dairy-free, it's still been sitting around. Even if it wasn't refrigerated.
Yeah, it was refrigerated.
It's been in your refrigerator for over a year. It's a food product. You don't want to keep that around. It's a food safety issue.
You know, I don't cook. Yeah. So, okay. Well, and how did you start making coquito? Like, what was the inspiration behind that?
Well, I'm Puerto Rican, so I love...
Is it like it's a Puerto Rican drink? Or?
It is a Puerto Rican drink, a holiday drink based from a concept from Puerto Rico.
Okay.
I don't know the exact history, but there are different ways of making it.
Okay.
But I decided one year to try it out, get some different recipes, and see what I can do. And over like 3 years, I decided, let me try to get the recipe perfect. And it took that long to get the exact ingredients together. And the amounts of those ingredients to put together the perfect taste.
Okay.
And it all worked out after that long, and now I have the best recipe that I won't keep, that I will not share.
Of course,
because it's mine. I don't want to put myself into a competition against my own coquito.
Right, of course not.
No, it's mine.
So we're not going to ask you. I will ask you this though. What are the ingredients you use? No, I'm just kidding. So like at Thanksgiving, are you is it your job to bring the coquito to dinner for the family? Is that your contribution?
My family doesn't really drink a lot. So if I bring a bottle, there's just a couple of guys who are just going to down the whole bottle because they don't mind.
Wow.
And that's just how it is. Everybody in my family loves to just talk, have fun, eat some food, and be together. I bring the naughty stuff to the
naughty
party.
stuff.
Yeah.
So for a guy like me that doesn't do the naughty stuff at all, about how much of that bottle of coquito, like how big was it with your hands? How would you?
One was about this tall.
Big.
I think it's 25 ounces.
25
like
ounces.
The other one's a little larger. It's like a 750 milliliters.
Okay, so a guy like me that doesn't do naughty things, well, I don't drink naughty drinks. How much of that 25-ounce bottle of coquito would have had me on the floor crying?
Oof. For you who doesn't really drink a lot, maybe 2 cups.
Oh,
I don't know.
2 cups. Okay.
You'd probably have to finish, I don't know, 3/4 of the bottle
before I'm seeing stars.
Yeah, you're seeing stars. Here I am.
Yeah.
But,
right. Exactly.
But there you are too. You look in the mirror.
You're such a gentleman. What's next for Jose Torres?
I need to focus on life. I'm just going to keep moving forward with my career goals, which I'm still trying to develop.
Okay.
So my photography career is something that I developed after COVID shut down the film industry.
Yeah.
And it was a good way to pass the time, but I think I need to move on to something a little bit more my speed.
Gotcha.
And I think photography is going to still be in the hobby area, but I think I'll move on to something else now.
Coquito. Maybe, I don't know.
I've actually tried to think about mass marketing that to a company, but it's really hard to keep that on the shelf for sale. You have to make it
I can understand
to order.
that, yeah. Let everybody know how they can contact you if they want great photography or some even better coquito.
My Instagram is NimbleJoe Photos, and I have a website, www.nimblejoe.com.
Okay. All right. Well, we're going to definitely keep you in our minds and our hearts when we want to get drunk as hell or we want to take some great fit pictures or both.
And I'll keep you in my mind for everything Keri Singleton.
Thank you very much, boss. We'll have more on the next episode of Sessions Cafe, but right now I'm just going to say see you later.